Felix didn't want to fly. He wanted to vanish. The ground never felt safe. Too many eyes. Too many voices. But up there, above the noise, there was nothing. And that's what he craved, nothingness. Paragliding gave him that. Not adrenaline. Not thrill. Just a few minutes where gravity stopped chasing him. Where life shut up. People called him fearless. He wasn't. He was running. From what? From himself. He said the wind spoke to him. That the sky didn't just hold him, it understood him. But you can't love something that wants nothing from you. And the sky never loved him back. Gravity is simple. You fall down. You hit something. It ends. But for Felix, gravity pulled differently. It didn't drag his body. It dragged his mind. The more he flew, the less he slept. The more he chased silence, the louder his thoughts screamed. He said the ground made him dizzy. He said breathing felt fake. People noticed. Bro, you okay? He smiled too wide. Never better. Liar. He stopped replying to messages. Stopped showing up to family dinners. He stopped existing, except in the sky. Every launch now felt necessary. Like scratching a wound. He wasn't flying anymore. He was scratching pain, again and again, hoping it would bleed clean. And sometimes, he'd say strange things like, I think the wind knows me now. I don't know what I'm running from, but it's catching up. But no one took him seriously. He was the flying guy. The fearless legend. How could he be broken? Because broken people wear the best masks. His legs began to shake after every landing. His hands trembled even before takeoff. But he called it adrenaline. Truth was, it was exhaustion. His body was quitting. Piece by piece. Headaches became migraines. Sleep turned into blackout spells. His heart raced like it was chasing something. But there was nothing there. He stopped going to the doctor. Because he didn't want answers. He wanted silence. He told himself, you're just tired. But his body whispered, no, you're breaking. He'd wake up in the middle of the night, gasping for air. And instead of drinking water, he'd check wind conditions. That's how far it had gone. Painkillers filled his backpack. Not for safety. For necessity. He didn't fly to feel free anymore. He flew because not flying hurt worse. It was just another day. That's what he told himself. But the sky felt off. The wind didn't move right. The silence wasn't calm, it was waiting. He looked at the ridge. His launch site. His altar. Everything in his gut said, not today. But everything in his soul said, this is the day. He checked the straps 3 times. Even the glider seemed heavier. He laughed. If I die today, at least I'll be high when I go. No one was there to stop him. No one ever stopped him. They just filmed him, admired him, never listened to him. Because legends don't complain, even when they know they're not coming back. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, ran toward the edge, and jumped. This is where the fall begins. Not the one you see, the one inside. He's in the air. But something is wrong. There was no scream, no explosion, just the sound of fabric ripping. And then nothing. They found the glider torn like skin. His helmet cracked, but no blood. His body was still. But his face, it wasn't peace. It was fear. Locked in. As if his last second was an impact. It was realization. He didn't die falling. He died knowing. He was never flying to escape. He was flying to punish himself. Every takeoff was a blade. Every descent a scar. And the sky was never his healer. It was his torturer. They opened his backpack. No ID. No food. Only pages. Torn journal entries. Scribbles. Sentences scratched out. Words circled in red. Stop. Can't. Still not enough. One page had only this written. Let the sky take what the earth couldn't. People built statues. Posted tributes. Said he was fearless. But his story wasn't about courage. It was about collapse. Slow. Silent. Invisible. He didn't die doing what he loved. He died because no one saw what was killing him. They never found Felix's voice recorder. But weeks later, a mountaineer discovered something strange at the base of the ridge. An old rusted ring, worn with symbols. Etched into it were the words, "He who dared to fly twice." Scholars couldn't trace its era, but local myths whispered of an ancient king, a ruler who ruled not through war, but through wind. They called him King Valémir, a ruler obsessed not with conquest, but with defying the gods. He believed the sky wasn't divine. It was unfinished territory, and he was meant to conquer it. But his obsession was not noble. It was rooted in shame. As a boy, he was mocked for weak lungs, for trembling hands, for falling while climbing. So he built towers. He built wings of bone and silk. He hired madmen to design machines no man understood. His court called it visionary, but his mirror called it madness. One day he flew. Not far, not high, but he flew. And when he returned, he wasn't a man anymore. He started wearing the wind like armor, refused to walk, only crawled on silk. He demanded silence in his court, only wind chimes and breath. They said, "Our king flies even while dreaming." But the truth? He was being eaten from the inside. Every flight shredded his lungs. The pressure destroyed his bones. The silence screamed louder than war. One night, his advisor found him, floating in his tower chamber, not flying, just hanging, limp, eyes open, and etched on the glass above his body. I wanted to rule the wind, but the wind ruled me. Back to Felix. And maybe, just maybe, Felix wasn't the first. Maybe that ridge wasn't just his final moment. It was the same cliff King Valémir once jumped from. Different era. Same sky. Same fall. When search crews reached the rocks beneath the ridge, they didn't just find broken gear and ripped fabric. Inside Felix's chest harness, zipped tightly in a hidden lining, was a single deep red feather, weathered, stiff, but intact. No one could explain it. Felix never wore feathers. He never mentioned it in journals. He never posted it online. But the feather matched something else. In a forgotten manuscript archived at the National Alpine Museum, there's a drawing of King Valémir's royal crest. Right in the center, a red feather, bent at the tip. Same shade, same shape. According to myth, Valémir plucked that feather from a rare skyhawk the night before his final jump. He believed it held the spirit of flight, or maybe the warning of death. And now, 900 years later, Felix carried that same feather. No explanation, no reason, just there. After Felix's death, his family gave access to an old family Bible, handwritten, passed down for centuries. Most pages were just dates of births, deaths, marriages. But on page 94, there was a name, Valémir du Ciel, French for Valémir of the sky. It was written in the margin, faded, but there, next to it, fell chasing wind. They called him mad. He called himself chosen. Historians dismissed it at first. A coincidence, a metaphor. But then came the DNA record. During a medical scan for a heart condition, Felix had participated in a private genetics project. One marker, an extremely rare mitochondrial haplogroup, labeled H1ZD, documented in only 3 other people in Europe, all from the Vilain mountain region, where King Valémir's ruined castle still sits buried. The match was too rare, too clean. Felix didn't just repeat a legend. He might have inherited it. Same obsession, same symbol, the feather. Same fall. The wind didn't call him. It remembered him. The wind isn't done yet, day one. Just one day after Felix's fatal fall, his younger brother Daniel returned to the same ridge. Not for tribute, not for media. He didn't even tell his family. He just needed to stand there, like something was pulling him. He never liked heights. He wasn't a pilot. He never understood Felix's obsession. But as he stood at the exact spot where Felix jumped, he heard it. Not a sound, not wind. It was a voice carried by the air. Low, dry, clear. It's not over. You're next. Daniel froze. He tried to shake it off. Grief, guilt, shock. But the whispers continued. Even when he backed away, they followed him back to the car, back to the hotel, into his sleep. And the next morning, he woke up with dirt under his fingernails, and Felix's backup gear laid out on the hotel floor. He didn't remember touching it, or even opening the bag. But inside that gear, in a hidden inner pouch, was a black feather, where the wind was born. It had been less than 48 hours since Felix died. Daniel hadn't eaten, barely slept, and the whispers were louder. Not voices now. Coordinates. Echoes of directions. Short phrases repeating. To the rocks. Under the ridge. The mouth of Velan. He typed them into a map. Nothing came up. Just unmarked cliffs, marked unstable terrain in old survey records. Locals warned him. There's nothing there but fog and broken ground. But the wind insisted, so he followed it. Across a dried path only shepherds once used. His phone lost signal. Temperature dropped 5 degrees in an hour. And then, he saw it. Half buried under centuries of erosion was a circular stone gate, sealed by earth, but still intact. Symbols carved into its outer rim, same as the feather pattern. In the center, a spiral, just like the spiral on Felix's journal cover. Daniel touched the stone, and the wind stopped, not slowed. Stopped. He was now inside something ancient. Not ruins, not cave, not tomb. A place the wind returned to. A place it came from. And it had been waiting. The message beneath the wind. Inside the buried chamber. Daniel stepped cautiously. No echoes. No animals. No airflow. Just silence. The chamber wasn't big, 7 feet wide, circular, stone walls blackened with time. But the floor was strange, not dirt, but ash. In the center, placed carefully, was an old metal chest, sealed with melted wax. On the lid, a symbol he knew all too well. The spiral. Daniel opened it. Inside, a leather-bound book, some rusted rings, and a single glass shard, with ancient writing burned into it. Those who fly to forget always return broken. Valémir. The spiral never ends. Daniel sat cross-legged on the cold stone floor, the black feather lying in front of him, unmoving. The leather book lay open. Its pages weren't full of stories. They were full of formulas, diagrams, human flight mechanics. But way beyond Valémir's time. One page had a sketch. A man falling from a sky. His posture, exactly like Felix's final recorded dive. Below it, written in faded ink. He came before. He failed. He came again. Daniel flipped through more pages. The spiral appeared over and over. Sometimes drawn in blood. Sometimes stitched into diagrams. Some pages had names. Valémir. B. Felix. D. The last name was incomplete. Just the letter D scratched, as if someone hesitated. He shut the book, stood up, and looked at the spiral carved into the wall. It wasn't a symbol. It was a map. The chamber wasn't just a ruin. It was a launch site, but not for wings, not for gliders, for people, for the chosen. Daniel walks out of the chamber. He doesn't take the feather. He doesn't destroy the book. He just walks away. But the next morning, a storm hits the region. Locals report seeing a man flying, without equipment. No wings. No glider. Just falling. Again. The spiral never ends. Felix wasn't the first. Daniel won't be the last. The wind chooses. Tests. Takes.